Oh, hey. Welcome to Story Time with Tamarin. Where's the camera? The camera's down there. Okay. Yeah, welcome to Adult Story Time. I found myself needing to calm down, having a bit of a wobble tonight, realising it was a Friday night, not having any plans, feeling a bit alone, blah, blah, blah. I have this book that's been sat with me from my friend, one of a few, and I thought, hey, why don't I read it with you guys? Read it to myself, read it to you. It is called On the Path to Enlightenment. Heart advice from the great Tibetan masters. So I'm going to read a chapter and we're going to read some stuff from some Tibetan monks. You know? And see what comes up. Intro, part 1. Turning the path to the spiritual path. No, turning the mind to the spiritual path. Okay. It's probably good to breathe, isn't it? All right. Chapter 1. The value of human existence. The first step for someone who aspires to follow the spiritual path is to understand how precious this human life is. Used wisely, it offers a unique opportunity to actualize the potential for enlightenment that is within us all, yet it is very easy to neglect or squander. According to Buddhism, of all possible life forms that we may take in the round of existences, being born as a human is highly unusual. It is compared to enjoying a banquet after centuries of famine. One reason why this life is so precious is that all beings have within them what is called Tathagatagarbha in Sanskrit, the essence of or potential for Buddhahood, which is the fundamental nature of all conscious beings. That nature, temporarily obscured by confusion and disturbing emotions, is like a treasure buried within us. The purpose of practicing the Buddhist path, or Dharma, is to remove those obscurations. We are not trying to manufacture the state of Buddhahood, but simply to reveal what is already there, since we cannot add to or subtract from that nature, which is the very basis of our mind. The qualities acquired on the way to enlightenment are not fabricated. They reflect the gradual reactivation of our nature, like the brilliance of a jewel covered in mud that is revealed gradually as the dirt is removed. It's got a little star there. And then it says below in notes, some scholars of Buddhism have a slightly different view and consider that the Tathagatagarbha, or essence of Buddhahood, is not fully present in every being, but develops through the practice of the path, like a seed that matures and eventually gives fruit, in this case Buddhahood. A sailor should cross the ocean if he has a boat. A general should defeat the army if he has an army. A poor man should milk the cow of plenty if it is within his reach. A traveller who wants to go to distant lands should pursue his journey if he has an excellent horse. As for you, who have a precious human life for the moment and have received instructions from a spiritual master, the embodiment of all the Buddhas of the 3 times, think with joy and enthusiasm of travelling the great path of the Supreme Dharma and getting ever closer to the ultimate goal, enlightenment and liberation. Okay, so cow of plenty. In Buddhist mythology, it is called an inexhaustible cow udder. It is the symbol of abundance and the fulfillment of any aspiration. Okay, so this book has a lot of, I don't know if you can see there, but it has a lot of very high up Buddhist monks giving some thoughts on enlightenment. So these names are these monks. Sheshin Jalsa. We now have a precious human life, through which we have met an authentic spiritual master, received profound teachings, and are on the path to liberation. However, if, like an explorer who returns empty-handed from an island covered with treasure, we just enjoy this inestimably valuable life for some time without bringing back the gem of the sublime Dharma, our journey will have been useless. And if, caught up in the activities of daily life, we neglect the liberating instructions, we will have possessed this invaluable human existence but gained nothing from it. The implementation of the Buddha's teaching, the Dharma, mostly takes place in the mind. The mind relies on the body, and the relationship between the two is rarely perfect. If you are lucky enough not to be affected by diseases of body and mind, if you are not bound to the service of anyone, and thus enjoy all the freedom necessary for spiritual practice, seize this opportunity without further delay and devote all your energy to the supreme path. Okay, this guy is called Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche. Ask yourself how many of the billions of inhabitants of this planet realize how rare it is to have been born a human being. Asterisk. The author is saying that even if they seem to be extremely numerous, they only represent an infinitesimal fraction of the sentient beings populating all the different realms of existence. A human life is thus extremely rare compared to all the other possibilities. How many of those who realize this think of using that chance to practice the Dharma? How many of these actually start to practice? How many of those who start continue to practice? How many of those who continue attain ultimate realization? The number of those who attain ultimate realization is like the number of stars you can see at daybreak compared to the number you can see on a clear night. We need to be born a human being, as this is the only state of existence in which there is enough suffering to give us an acute desire to be free from samsara, yet not so much suffering that we no longer have the opportunity to free ourselves through the practice of Dharma. If we do not make use of the precious opportunity of a human existence, we cannot but go downward, like a stone rolling down a hill. Okay, this person is called Jamgon Control Lodrote. Getting butter from milk is only possible because milk is already containing cream. No one ever made butter by churning water. The prospector looks for gold in rocks and not in wooden chips. Likewise, the quest for perfect enlightenment only makes sense because Buddha nature is already present in every being. Without that nature, all efforts would be futile. It kind of supports my idea that we're born pretty good. Okay, next person, next Buddhist monk says, and their name is Sheshin Jalsa. Oh, they might have been on the other page. They might be repeating. You might ask, if the nature of Buddhahood is in me, why can't I perceive it right away? It is because, like gold hidden in its matrix, that nature is hidden by the tendencies we have accumulated since time immemorial, tendencies that have themselves been created by mental poisons and then reinforced by the actions that those disturbances have produced. It says in The Praise of the Ultimate Dimension, the brilliance of the sapphire is always there, ready to manifest, but does not appear while the sapphire remains embedded in its matrix. The ultimate dimension is immaculate, but remains hidden under the thick veil of confusion. Its brightness cannot manifest in samsara, the world of suffering, but is revealed in nirvana, the state beyond suffering. Asterisk. Praise of the ultimate dimension. Oh, it's just a reference. You might also wonder if it is possible that all beings, even dogs or pigs, have deep in their consciousness the many qualities of Buddhahood, such as the 10 strengths. Those qualities are in fact present in the potential for enlightenment of all living beings. The fundamental nature of consciousness and its attributes cannot be separated, just as fire cannot be separated from heat. But these qualities are not manifest. It is like a sword whose sharpness remains invisible while the blade is in its sheath, or like a mirror which has the capacity to reflect shapes and colours, but not while it remains in darkness. The qualities of enlightenment are inherent in consciousness, but can remain invisible for a long time. The ultimate nature of mind, emptiness endowed with the qualities of supreme enlightenment, is always present in us, but remains latent until we recognize it and become familiar with it. It is not enough to intellectually understand the nature of mind. We have to rid of the veil that obscures it, and the best way to do so is to generate the bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment, which is the supreme intention to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. That is the only way to discover true enlightenment, or, in other words, to become Buddha. So yeah, if we're not all enlightened, none of us are. Okay, this is Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche. Advice for a basket weaver. Some people say they have no purpose in life, yet they definitely have at least one. They want to be happy, just like all beings. We all want to be happy. This feeling is the basic and fundamental sign that we have a potential within us, a richness to be exploited. No one, deep down inside, really wants to suffer. Even if a masochist says he likes to suffer, it is only because it gives him pleasure. To feel responsible for our loved ones is commendable, but we have the ability to open our mind and accept the responsibility for infinite beings. Why limit our deep sense of tenderness to a few people when we can extend it to all beings? Moreover, with respect to our friends and relatives, we should offer them something really useful that we can be proud of when we die. It is not enough to make them happy by taking them on a cruise, for example. What would that really do for them? If they have a problem, it might entertain them for a while, but in most cases, they will take their problems with them wherever you take them. If they have a broken heart, if their boyfriend or girlfriend has left them, or if someone has upset them, they will go over and over their bitterness on the ship, and it will still be there after the cruise has ended. We have much better things to do to help those around us. Think about it. What would we like to pass on to our children? A good image of ourselves, so they see us as being better than we really are? What's the point? Or material goods? That would be handing them a heap of problems. They will squabble over our wealth after our death, and even if we share it with them in our lifetime, some of them will think themselves hard done by and envy what the others have received. They can get material comfort by other means, by working, for example. Our presence. Whether we like it or not, they will be separated from us when we die. At that time, their grief will not bring us back to life and will do them no good. But we could also leave them an inspiration, a vision that is meaningful and that can give them confidence in every moment of their lives. Of course, to be able to do that, we need to get some confidence ourselves, to develop an inner certainty. It is obvious that this feeling can only come from our mind, so it is high time we did something about it. Since we were born, we have let our mind do what it likes, like a spoiled child, and we have to admit that nothing really positive has come of it. To take control of it is indispensable. That is something worth spending time on, even if it is just a little bit each day. So we had better think again and use our common sense. If we let our mind mistreat us so that we spend our lives suffering and making others suffer around us, that's a sign of a lack of common sense. The thoughts and words that come from a disturbed state of mind can be considered negative. Instead of complaining about our fate, if we cultivate altruism and compassion so that those positive states of mind improve our well-being and that of others, that shows that we do have common sense. The underlying sense of uneasiness that we have now is actually a good thing. It is the expression of our sensitivity. Those who go through life without feeling ill at ease are unconscious. The uneasy feeling caused by our awareness holds tremendous potential for transformation. It is a treasure of energy that we can grasp with both hands and use to build something better. Indifference doesn't lead anywhere. If you think that the whole world is your enemy, imagine that you are a basket weaver and you have a huge pile of reeds. To make baskets, you have to weave them in the right way. Similarly, faced with the challenges you encounter, you have to weave an inner basket big enough to hold all the ups and downs of life without them overwhelming you. In short, you need to take care of your mind wisely. Okay, this is Minling Tershin Gyome Dorji. Advice to ease the pain of the noble lady named Sonam Poldran, a native of Ukpalung. I guess it's a poem. Namu Guru Ratyana, homage to the masters and the three jewels. My mind closely united with that of the immensely good teacher, I beg him to rain on us the shower of his blessings, so that all painful circumstances may be spontaneously liberated in great bliss. The alternation of thoughts, of happiness and suffering, desire and aversion, is nothing more than the play. Of luminous emptiness in mind, without altering whatever arises, look at its nature, and you will perceive it as great bliss. While you have this human existence, apply yourself wholly to practice the supreme Dharma. The 1,000 things to be done will never end. They are vain distractions, devoid of substance. Forsake them all completely. When you have subdued an opponent, 1,000 more are still to be overcome. Instead, crush your negative emotions, which are the enemies dwelling in your mind. Family and friends may get along, but discord easily arises. Those who are dear to us in this life are also causes of torment. It may be that you become rich, but you will have a hard time being satisfied. Be able to cut the knot of greed. That is what really matters. When you are betrayed by those you trusted, let your heart rely on the unfailing 3 jewels. When you are in despair after the loss of a beloved child, clearly understand the ultimate nature of your affliction and rest, mind-free and open in the space of indescribable luminous emptiness. It is absurd to maintain attachment and hatred toward beings of the 6 realms who have all been our parents. Realize that they are all equal. Is this not in itself a great liberation, a great happiness? All happy or unhappy situations are the essence of mind itself, free of mental fabrications, like rainbows that do not alter the sky, leave everything in vast space free from attachment. I just want to say that, let me find it. Yes. The 3 jewels, the Buddha, his teaching, the Dharma, and the community of practitioners, the Sangha. The Buddha, his teaching, the Dharma, and the community of practitioners. So there's the 3 jewels. Okay. Sheshin Jalsa again. When heat, moisture, and fertile soil come together, you do whatever you can to sow grain. When you discover a deposit of gold or silver, you do whatever you can to exploit it. When the crops are ready in autumn, you do whatever you can to harvest them. When you have an escort to accompany you on a dangerous path, you redouble your energy. When you have labour and assistance, you accomplish your tasks. Now that you have a precious human life, free of all impediments and endowed with all favourable conditions, apply yourself unrelentingly to spiritual practice. Think well that there is no time left to sleep or even to pause for breath, and exert yourself without interruption. Whatever you do, walking, eating, sitting, and so forth, abandon laziness, indolence, apathy, negligence, and distraction. Master the habitual patterns that make you resist any change in your body, speech, and mind, even in the most insignificant activities. Once you have embarked on the path of liberation, it is inappropriate to behave in an ordinary way. Observe your mind all the time with vigilance and lucidity. If you have committed a negative act, regret it and promise never to do it again. Be glad if you have committed none. Give yourself up to spiritual practice, whether formal or not, with the enthusiasm of a starving person ready to swallow any kind of food. By taking care not to neglect even the simplest positive action while not losing sight of the illusory nature of all things, travel the path of the double accumulation of merit and wisdom, the path that delights the conquerors, and also encourage others to do the same. To devote yourself day and night to the practice of the teachings, and thus trace your path to happy future lives, is the way to give your life a real meaning. End of chapter 1. Thank you for listening. If you want to read this book, I've just borrowed it from a friend. On the Path to Enlightenment by many Buddhist monks, I believe. hope that you are all well. I have checked out of the world. I'm not going on social media as much and not reading so much. I've done my bit with reading some Black Lives Matter stuff and whatever, and I'm done now. And so I'm going all Zen. I had a big, it seems really obvious, but I had this kind of realization of the reason that, not the reason, but I might feel unhappy or discomfort because I'm not accepting the world as it is, which seems obvious because obviously I've been an activist for years now and want to change things, and so when you're wanting to change things, you're not accepting them as they are, and where you accept things, you get peace. So at the moment I'm doing a little human experiment and just checking out of the activism and just doing some acceptance, which comes from a really privileged place, I realise. So it won't be forever, but I just have to check out for a bit. So I thought another way that I can contribute to change in the world whilst still maintaining some kind of peace is doing some more kind of Zen stuff. So that's why I'm reading this book for story time now. So that on a spiritual level, whether you believe in it or not, I don't really care, but for me, on a spiritual level, I am contributing by being giving out some peace, some peaceful vibes hopefully, and some things for us all to think about that adds to, the lighter spiritual energies. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I'm sure at some point I'll get stuck in again. I mean, it's a lie really, I'm still doing a project for XR, so I'm not completely checked out, but I said to myself once that's done, I'm done for a bit. We all have to find what's right for us, don't we? So thanks for listening. I really like this book. If you just tuned in, it's a load of Buddhist monks giving thoughts on enlightenment and how we can get there and what we can do. So that's nice. There you go. Should probably end with some kind of meditation. So I invite you all to close your eyes, or you can just watch me close my eyes. I invite you all to sit up properly, give your spine a rest. Feel like you're a puppet with a string, and the string's pulling up the crown of your head and all the way down your spine. The earth is pulling you down towards the earth. Take a nice big breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And now you're sitting nice and tall, giving your spine lots of room. Become aware of where you touch the floor or where you touch the chair. And now imagine from those places that you have roots growing quickly down into the earth. And you're knitted down, 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 far into the earth. And feel that ground is holding you, whether you're sitting or you're lying. The ground's got you. And that string is pulling you up from the top of your head as well to the sky. And the sky and the earth have both got you. You're with both of them. And as you breathe, take some nice deep breaths. Let your tummy expand nice and big. And start to hear everything around you. And whether you meditate a lot or this is your first time meditating, thank you for being in this moment, and know that you can meditate now. You don't have to learn anything. You just are here in this moment. And if any thoughts come, let them in, let them go. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Wiggle whatever you want to wiggle. And gently just blink yourself back into the space you're in. Thanks very much for being here. Thank you very much for listening. And I hope you're well. And I'll see you soon. Okay, bye.